Ahsoka, come on, come at me.
It's fine.
It's all right.
Yeah,
It's
it is totally fine.
thunderously tolerable.
Episode
God.
1, I think, was a super, like, it got in there, man. Like, it didn't waste any time in telling some story, which is really good. Considering, I think I put in the review, like, considering it's Dave Filoni scripted and directed, and like Clone Wars and some of Rebels to an extent, notorious for just mucking around for a bit. And Ahsoka didn't do that at all for the first, like, 1.5 episodes, 2 episodes, really, like, because you went straight to the base on the shipyard, on Corellia. And although it was like dubiously consequential, like, why does this matter? It was still fun to watch. And then episode 3 dropped, and the whole episode was, what am I meant to be? What am I meant to be getting out of this? Like, the episode passed, and I turned to my wife and said, "Nothing happened."
Oh my
Nothing
God. I'm actually
happened.
really enjoying this.
So many
No,
gags there about Tom's
show
wife
and no
turning
tell.
to him saying nothing's happened. So many gags.
I watched
child.
I've been trying to get through Rebels, and it wasn't going to happen. So I started watching Ahsoka with the kids, and 2 episodes in, we went, you know what, we're going to do it. And we'd watch the Rebels recap, the half an hour, spoil every episode of Rebels, tell you everyone is going to die or get hurt and get blind or whatever.
I've seen that, actually.
We watched it all, and it helps a lot with Ahsoka. It really, really helps. But then we've just put a pause in Ahsoka. We watched the 3rd episode, but we've gone back and we've nailed the first season and a half of Rebels, and are really loving it. But me and the family, we're really enjoying Ahsoka. It's not. I mean, we've got almost no complaints with it. I like the nods to her as a character and the stuff she does as a Jedi, which is just too outlandish in the hands of a lot of other characters, but seems to work. I'm gonna go outside and stand on a.
There was a lot of, like,
space. I'm gonna.
Yeah, that was fun.
You know, I'm gonna smash through the glass with my twin lightsabers and land below. I mean, it's like someone who wrote and directed some of the animation before took some of those scenes and made them live.
It's good showy nonsense, that stuff, for sure. I don't mind that at all. But it's just the fact that, like, so the first 2 episodes, like, rely heavily on just being, like, sticking to Star Wars formula to, like, keep you up to speed with, like, you might not know these characters, but you will know roughly the direction of what's going on because it's all very Star Warsy. And episode 3 went, like, way too hard on that stuff, where it's like, remember this bit of Star Wars? Remember this bit of Star yeah, I do. You don't need to do this every 2 seconds. Like, I'm up to speed now, and I'm sure everyone is up to speed now. We don't need the blaster training, particularly. We don't need the space dogfight. As well done as it was, like, we don't need to see Sabine. Yeah, great shot, kid. That was one of them. No, we don't need that. Like,
oh man, I loved it. I really enjoyed all of that. It's only like 30 minutes. A lot of entertainment here.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I agree with Kaz, and I agree with you exactly what you're saying there, Tom. But I mean, I'm thinking about it before we come on air, and I'm thinking, well, what do we actually want from a Star Wars show now?
Oh, man,
are we so jaded and so hurt by what's come before? We don't really know what we want anymore. Because I don't really know. Because I'm
not at all, man. Like, I don't, because, like, I'm happy.
Do we want more Andor? I mean, that was fantastic.
No,
you could
don't want
take the
everything
Star
to
Wars
be
name
Andor.
out of that, couldn't you?
Yeah, you don't want everything to be Andor. And, like, I've gone on record before saying, like, I am a person who likes Star Wars to the extent where I will even say I get enjoyment from Rise of Skywalker and I get enjoyment from The Phantom Menace. Like, I recognize that they are not good pieces of entertainment in a lot of ways, but I feel warmly towards them. And I would say that is true for all of us. So I will go out on a limb and I will defend Star Wars to be like, it doesn't matter what you expect of it. It is what it is. And if you don't like it, then fine. That's okay. I'm enjoying it. But even with Ahsoka, I'm a bit like, I feel a bit like you're testing my patience now. You're testing me a little bit as to what I will just go along with because it's Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, Tom. I think the Star Wars I've enjoyed most in recent years, and granted, I haven't made it through Andor yet, so it might be that, and eventually I will, right? But
You've got no voice here.
the Star Wars Visions,
Those are fun.
Animated anthology. Do you know what? Live action, some of that crap. That'll do me. I want Star Wars. I want different in the Star Wars world. I want, Andor was, a political espionage thriller. Do you know what? Give me a Star Wars rom-com. Do you know what? Give me a.
But you won't watch that either if you haven't watched the Andor.
Yeah, but I will. Give me a Star Wars noir. Give me a Star Wars horror film, a proper full-throated horror. Do something different in the Star Wars universe. I think the problem is, and the reason why I think some of us are getting burnt out by it is recognizably the same narrative in a different dressing, in the same world in different dressing, and it is beginning to feel a little bit samey. I think, like with most of us, it's probably a lot easier for us to describe what we don't want than what we want. Whether or not you're going to choose a sofa or anything like that, it's a lot easier.
Ahsoka.
I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. Well, tell me what you do like. I don't know. So it's a lot easier to sort of know what you don't like. And I think that's what Star Wars' problem is. It is caught between how do we keep the rabid fanboys happy who want more of what we've had versus a few of those idiots like that market who goes and wants something completely different.
I just wish more of the rabid fanboys were like me. It's like defend all of Star Wars to the death because it's Star Wars, rather than defend only the original trilogy to the death because they grew up with it. It's like, no, just if you really like it, then get on board. And I would say that this about Ahsoka is that I don't hate it at all. And as I say, I get enjoyment out of watching Star Wars. I'm getting enjoyment out of Ahsoka. I just thought it was going to be better than it is, I think is my complaint after the third episode.
I reckon we're going to bosh the rest of Rebels before
then
watch the last few of Ahsoka and then look forward to the big Thrawn crossover, whatever they've got lined up with, the other, what is it, Mando and Boba and everything.
And then they'll make a Chopper spin-off and everyone will watch it and love it.